talking points. The big talking point now, the CBI heat is on the Yadavs of Bihar and Hemant Soren in Jharkhand. Opposition states are in the line of fire. Is this an attempt being made by the government to destabilize these governments? Also, our continuing focus, justice for Bilkis Bano. Tonight we'll be joined by the judge who gave the convictions for her gang rape. Justice Salvi will join me later with his views on the remittance of sentence. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. Communal tensions simmer in Hyderabad after the release of BJP Neta T. Raja Singh fresh Sar Tan Se Juda slogan. Singh's effigies are burned by an angry mob. The Nitish Kumar government survives a floor test on a day of a packed political drama in Bihar. CBI raids 24 locations. 4 RJD leaders in Patna are under the scanner. Tejasvi Yadav alleges vendetta as Nitish Kumar wins his trust vote. The liquor gate showdown in the national capital intensifies. BJP claims Manish Sisodia gave licenses to friends. AAP counters, accuses BJP of Operation Kamla, says 4 of their MLAs were promised 20 crores each. An ugly scuffle breaks out outside the Maharashtra Assembly in Mumbai. Shinde Sena and opposition exchange blows, ruling MLAs accused of hurling abuses on the floor of the House. Congress spokesperson Javed Shelgill resigns, says the party is being influenced by self-serving interests of individuals indulging in sycophancy. It's the latest example of a young congressman leaving the party. Supreme Court allows for Congress MP Karti Chidambaram's review plea challenging the Prevention of Money Laundering Act judgment to be heard in open court. The court will hear the case tomorrow. After freebies charge against Dolo 650 makers, Centre moves in. Health Ministry asks for details of doctors who were given freebies by the pharma company. Haryana BJP leader Sonali Fogart's death mystery deepens. Family alleges conspiracy, accuses a Neta's PA and aide's role in her death. And VVS Lakshman replaces Rahul Dravid as head coach for the Asia Cup next week after Dravid tests positive for COVID. But tonight's big breaking story. The Supreme Court has decided to go ahead and allow for Karti Chidambaram, the Congress MP's review plea challenging the Prevention of Money Laundering Act judgment that will now be heard in open court. Chidambaram's review petition, to be heard tomorrow, seeks a review of the recent Prevention of Money Laundering Act judgment that had upheld the Enforcement Directorate's power to attach property involved in money laundering, arrest, search and seizure. The judgment had led to some criticism, with some saying it reversed the basic laws of jurisprudence, presuming people to be guilty and they would have to prove their innocence. Our legal correspondent Nalini Sharma now joins me. Nalini, what does this mean? Is the Supreme Court now reviewing its own judgment that has led to much turmoil both among the political world and indeed in some sections of corporate India as well?
Well, Rajdeep, the Supreme Court's definitely looking into it, if not reviewing just yet. But what we have to remember is that the powers of the Supreme Court to review its own judgment are extremely limited. A review petition has to be filed before the Supreme Court within 30 days of the judgment being delivered, and it can only be entertained if there is some grave error that is apparent on the face of record, or if there is some grave injustice that has been caused to somebody as a result of that judgment. So what Karti Chidambaram has approached the Supreme Court with is by saying that this judgment of the Supreme Court does not fall in line with the previous judgments of the Supreme Court on the issue of bail, on the issue of criminal jurisprudence, and that is why there's an error apparent on the face of record. Now, the Supreme Court's taken the first step towards the review of this judgment by allowing an open court hearing, because the first hearing in a review petition always happens inside the chamber of the judge. And today they've decided that they will allow an open court hearing tomorrow. So they're definitely looking towards it, because remember, yesterday another judgment had come in from the Supreme Court where they had stated that the PMLA judgment might have some arbitrary implications because of the way that it's going to be implemented. So the Supreme Court might definitely be looking into it. Chief Justice of India, N.V. Ramana, who's retiring day after tomorrow, is going to be heading the bench. Most likely that's going to be looking at this review. So we'll have to wait and see what happens tomorrow. But this is definitely the first step. It's the first review petition that has been filed. And the Supreme Court right now has agreed to hear it at least in open court tomorrow.
Interesting there, because remember, the Prevention of Money Laundering Act is at the heart of political tussles that are going on across the country. Nalini Sharma there joining me, because remember, even today, what we saw is 3 opposition-ruled states in absolute turmoil once again, because the central agencies, the CBI and the ED, are carrying out raids again in 2 states. The CBI was in Bihar, where they raided the premises linked to RJD leaders in a corruption case. In Jharkhand, the ED conducted raids in an illegal mining case allegedly involving the Chief Minister Hemant Soren. Today's raids come days after the CBI action against Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia. Remember, a 4th state, Maharashtra, has already seen a change of guard, where many leaders of the Shiv Sena now, including Sanjay Raut, are under arrest in corruption cases. So 3 opposition-ruled states, 1 state that was ruled by the opposition till weeks ago, all on the central agency's radar. And let me explain to you. Let's go straight by state. Opposition states on central agency's radar. Delhi, as I said, Manish Sisodia was raided by the CBI in Delhi in an alleged liquor scam. In Bihar, Lalu Yadav, Tejasvi Yadav and Rabri Devi, the CBI raids are in a land for railway job scam linked to the time when Lalu was railway minister, and the allegations are the money was used to build malls and other establishments. Jharkhand, Pankaj Mishra is Chief Minister Hemant Soren's aide. He's been arrested by the ED in an illegal mining case, and the charge is that Hemant Soren, as mining minister, accorded a mine to himself. So there are cases in each of these states. Now, as the central agencies turn the heat in these corruption cases involving at least now 2 fresh opposition states, Bihar and Jharkhand, the fact is that the Yadav family finds itself under the scanner in Bihar and the Soren family in Jharkhand. Is this a prelude again, like in Maharashtra, to try and destabilize these governments as the opposition alleges? Or is this part of the CBI's work to unearth corruption? Interestingly, the raid in Jharkhand has also yielded 2 AK-47 rifles. Take a look at how Raid Raj took place in the country today.
After the raids on Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, central agencies on Wednesday reached Jharkhand and Bihar. The Enforcement Directorate raided multiple locations in Jharkhand as part of its probe into illegal mining. The ED recovered assault rifles like 2 AK-47 at one of the locations. Sources tell India Today that the house where the rifles were found is allegedly linked to Prem Prakash, who is considered close to the aide of Chief Minister Hemant Soren. Another central agency, the Central Bureau of Investigation, raided more than 24 locations, 3 of them allegedly linked to Bihar Deputy Chief Minister Tejasvi Yadav. The raids are in connection with the alleged land for job scam. The sources in the Central Bureau of Investigation say Lalu Prasad Yadav, Rabri Devi, Tejasvi Yadav, Lalu Yadav's 2 daughters and some prominent RJD leaders are allegedly involved in the scam. Those raided on Wednesday include RJD MPs Ashfaq Karim and Fayaz Ahmed, MLC Sunil Singh and former MLC Subodh Roy. 3 locations allegedly linked to Tejasvi Yadav in Delhi and Gurugram were also raided. These include the Urban Cubes 71 shopping mall in Gurugram and 2 companies. Raids that took place on the day the newly formed Bihar government sought a trust vote triggered a political showdown.
आप लोग एक हुए हैं तो आप लोगों को पीड़ा क्यों हो रही है? असल में आप लोगों को जो पीड़ा हो रही है, आप डर चुके हैं, उसने जमाई को आगे कर दिया, आप लोग पीछे हो गए।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी किसी को लगाती नहीं है, किसी को फंसाती नहीं है। आज से 1.5 साल पहले नीतीश कुमार जी ने खुद ही कंप्लेन किया था जब बिस्कोमान में करोड़ों रुपए जा रहे थे और पकड़े जा रहे थे।
The land for job scam dates back to 2004-2009 period when Lalu Prasad Yadav was the Union Railways Minister. During the period, the Yadav family and companies linked to them allegedly got land in exchange for jobs in the railways.
So let's then raise the big questions tonight. Is the centre using these agencies to destabilize the opposition governments, the CBI and the ED? Are the opposition governments guilty of corruption and therefore have skeletons in their cupboard? Is an opposition Mukt Bharat the larger game plan of the Modi government and the BJP? Joining me now are Rohan Gupta, the Congress's spokesperson, Sanju Verma from the BJP joins me, and Jasmine Shah is the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson on the show tonight. I'll also be joined by CBI's former Joint Director, Shantanu Sen. First to you, Rohan Gupta, because I want to start with Bihar. Here is a state which you come to power only a few weeks ago. Nitish Kumar, who is now your partner and the Chief Minister, is the one who made these allegations against Lalu Prasad, for which he's already been charge-sheeted. That Tejasvi Yadav was charge-sheeted in 2018 when Nitish Kumar was Chief Minister. Now today, for your Mahagathbandhan to say that the CBI is targeting us because the government has changed is not entirely true, because this scam, the allegation that Tejasvi has owned these malls, some of them in Benami names, have been doing the rounds for years and have been made by Nitish Kumar, your partner today in Bihar. So how can we call this vendetta? It's more that the law is taking its own course.
See, Rajdeep, I think BJP's mission Maharashtra is over. So obviously the agencies would require to have new state where there is opposition government, and Bihar is a freshly appointed new government of opposition parties. See, Rajdeep, the question here is not about what is the action against any particular leader. It's about the credibility of these agencies. Why these agencies are active only against the opposition party? Maybe, I'm not saying that agencies all the time, they don't,
No, so you know what the agencies, no, Mr. Rohan Gupta, if the agencies don't work like they were accused of when you were in power, they were called cage parrot. Now they are working, you say they are a vendetta. There may be an element of vendetta, but I'm saying in this specific case, this is a case which has been building up in which Lalu Yadav has already been charge-sheeted. And Rabri Devi and Tejasvi are named in the charge sheet. Just because the raid takes place on a day when the trust vote is going on, is that reason enough to say this is all vendetta?
Absolutely, Rajdeep. You have to see the timing of the case. That's what I'm saying. I'm not against any kind of activity or any kind of action by these agencies. But the way these agencies are used when BJP is in trouble, that is what speaks about the credibility of this government. Why only opposition parties? Yedurappa, one big example, Rajdeep, he's the king of corruption. Rather than taking action against him, he's been promoted to BJP parliamentary board. The whole country is watching this. Maharashtra, the people who shifted from Shiv Sena, there are 22 cases of ED. There is no action against even a single MLA. So obviously the whole country sees that only when there are opposition leaders involved, whether right or wrong, I am not going into it, but why only opposition leaders? BJP needs to show that if they feel that these agencies are doing credible work or they are doing their work properly, why none of the BJP ruled state or BJP allies or BJP leaders are under the scanner? I have given such examples from Hemanta Vishwa Sarma to Narayan Rane to Yedurappa to Bellary brothers. I have given hundreds of examples. Why not even a single case where BJP has taken action against these leaders? Okay. Why not? PMLA, there have been 5,422 cases, not even a single case against any of the BJP leaders. Why? Obviously, we will ask the question. Okay. Yes, if you feel that agencies they do their job, let them do their job, but it cannot be only against opposition parties.
Sanju Verma, this has now become a refrain. This must be the 6th or 8th program I've done in the last couple of months, particularly since Maharashtra, the government was toppled, that the BJP is using the agencies to target opposition-ruled state governments. Bihar and Jharkhand are the latest example. In Maharashtra also, many of the very leaders against whom the ED was investigating, the moment they have shifted to the Shinde Sena, it appears that the ED has forgotten about those cases. Therefore, Rohan Gupta has a point when he says that the PMLA is being used selectively to, in a way, intimidate the opposition ruled states, the latest example being Bihar.
Rajdeep, I heard the Congress panelists and I heard you as well. I will quickly make a couple of very pertinent points. Let us not make generic accusations that the ED, the income tax and the CBI are the BJP's handmaidens. Let me give you pointedly, example by example, how the opposition is mired in corruption and the ED and CBI are only doing their job. Point number one, let's come straight to the National Herald case. Sonia Gandhi out on bail, Rahul Gandhi out on bail. We all know Karti Chidambaram, DK Shivkumar, they are all embroiled in some or the other corruption cases and are out on bail. They are on trial. Let me tell you, in the National Herald case, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi went right till the Supreme Court and said, please quash the proceedings against us. In February 2016, in May 2017, and in September 2018, the Patiala Court, the Delhi High Court, and the Supreme Court refused to quash proceedings against accused number 1 Sonia Gandhi and accused number 2 Rahul Gandhi. So are you questioning the Supreme Court? Now let me come straight to the point of what has happened in Bihar. As you rightly said, Rajdeep, the case pertaining to land for job or job for land and the IRCTC scam, which also has Lalu, Rabri Yadav and Tejashwi Yadav as the key accused. Let me tell you, charge sheet was filed in both these cases 4 years back. And now, after a solid charge sheet, these cases are coming to fruition. Point number three, you made a lot of points. Let me finish. Let me give you a small example of Maharashtra. What happened? Anil Deshmukh was arrested in the Vasuli extortion case. Nawab Malik is behind bars for money laundering. And both Nawab Malik and Anil Deshmukh, not once, not twice, not thrice, each of them went to the Bombay High Court 4 times. And Bombay High Court refused to grant bail to either Anil Deshmukh or Nawab Malik. Now Rajdeep Sardesai is Bombay High Court, a handmaiden of the BJP.
Ma'am, you are cleverly, ma'am, no, 1 minute now. Ma'am, you are cleverly changing the goalpost. I am not saying that the cases against them may not be genuine. The charge is, and I put out the whole list, that the moment the person is with the BJP, the person suddenly seems to escape the scrutiny of the agencies, as a result
You
of
don't
which...
allow me to finish.
No, you must answer that question. Mr. Yediyurappa, he had serious accusations. Hemanta Biswa Sarma had bribery charges that were made against him. You've got other BJP
Let me
leaders.
answer. I heard you.
Please respond.
I want to ask a simple question. Does Rajdeep Sardesai believe in India's judiciary and the Supreme Court?
Rajdeep Sardesai today believes... Rajdeep Sardesai believes the facts that he is providing you. These are all facts.
Let me complete in 10 seconds.
Okay, your time starts
If you believe in the Supreme Court, if you believe in the judiciary, what stops the Congress from filing a petition against Yediyurappa in the Supreme Court, file a petition against Hemanta Biswa Sarma in the Supreme Court? You won't do that. But you will come to TV studios and point fingers at the Election Commission, point fingers at the Indian Penal Code, point fingers at the Constitution, point fingers at the PMLA Act, which incidentally was conceived by Kapil Sibal no less. And today Kapil Sibal has a problem by the very same PMLA who he drew up and made a concrete proposal of.
Okay, you have still not really answered my question, but that's okay. That's politicians. They don't want to answer the direct question. How is it that all those individuals are not prosecuted? To say that please go to the court, please go to the court is being slightly disingenuous, ma'am, with all due regard. Jasmine Shah to you. Jasmine Shah to you.
The Supreme Court.
Okay, you made your point, producer. We must move on. Jasmine Shah, what we saw today with the Mahagathbandhan in Bihar, we saw only a couple of days ago in Delhi. The fact is, in all these cases, there can be no smoke without fire. There are serious questions that are being raised, both in the excise scam in Delhi, have been raised and has led to charge sheeting in the land for job scam in Bihar. Now, the opposition can't all the time keep saying, look, the CBI is after us, the ED is after us. They are after you because there are skeletons in your cupboard, which they are discovering. Why not accept that and then challenge the BJP. If you have no skeletons in your cupboard, there should be no ED at your house.
Rajdeep, I wish this was the simplistic way in the way in which CBI and ED raids work. Let me tell you, just a few days back we finished 75 years of our independence, but we should not be any doubt that in the last 75 years, today we are facing a crisis of democracy. What we are witnessing today across the length and breadth of the country is a murder of democracy, not too dissimilar to what happened during the emergency years. Why do I say that? For the last 7 years, Rajdeep, just look at the amazing correlation between how the raids by ED have jumped 10x. From 2004 to 2014, if ED was raiding 600 raids during that period, now we are talking about 10x raids that are happening. Has conviction increased? Has corruption drastically increased in India? The conviction rate is still 0.5%. But what has increased? What has increased is the speed with which BJP is buying opposition MLAs and toppling government. Be it recently in Maharashtra in 2022, Karnataka in 2018 when 17 Congress and JDS MLAs were bought. Meghalaya, mind you, BJP had only won 2 out of the 60 seats in Meghalaya, but it formed the government in Meghalaya. So this is the entire Sochi Samjhi Sajish. Today they thought that Aam Aadmi Party can also be buckled by buying MLAs. Not happening, ma'am.
No, but one minute. Jasmine Shah, you are claiming... No, 1 minute. I have been hearing this for the last couple of days that our MLAs of Aam Aadmi Party are in danger of an Operation Lotus. BJP wants to buy them. We have audio recordings of it. Put those audio recordings in the public domain. Please come on my show and please put those audio recordings in the public domain. I will be delighted. You also cannot simply make these allegations. Please put it out. Expose the BJP.
Rajdeep, let the people of the country remember, in December 2014, we had said that our MLAs at that time were being approached to buy, and 5 crore, unki boli lagai ja rahi thi, 5 crore. We even did a sting video and showed that it is the Upadhyaksh, the vice president of BJP in Delhi, who actually made the offer. That entire episode, all the TV channels showed it. Something very similar is happening. This is a sinister plan. The Arvind Kejriwal government is in the risk of being toppled.
Why don't you expose them? You are Jasmine Shah. If you are claiming that you all have audio tapes, please put the audio tapes in the public domain.
Very soon we will, Rajdeep. This is not going to be a media trial. This is going to be a trial by the courts of justice. We will approach each and every channel that is available to us, and we'll do it in the manner that is befitting the kind of a murder that is happening in front of national. There's a reason, Rajdeep, why these things are happening. Today we are seeing record inflation, unemployment. Who is talking about this? You talk about your show in the last 1 week. There is no time to discuss about the issues in front of the nation. And that is what PM Modi has reduced the circus of Indian politics to. It is all about...
Sanju Verma, you cannot intervene. You got equal time. Let me though move to Shantanu Sen, because he's been a joint director with the CBI. Shantanu Sen, just to look both at the CBI and the ED, but particularly, if I may say so, the ED, because the Prevention of Money Laundering Act seems to be the new danger or the new weapon, let me use that word, the new weapon that's being used to intimidate. PMLA cases, 3,985. Convictions are just 23. That's 0.6%. Total 5,422 cases registered by ED under PMLA. 65% of these under Mr. Modi in the last 8 years. But conviction remains almost less than 1%, around 0.6%. So is this being used as a weapon in your view? Are the CBI moving from being a caged parrot to some other kind of more a Rottweiler, as some are calling it, or a uncaged hawk? Is that what's happening both with the ED and the CBI? Where is the conviction?
Rajdeep, lots of words are being used. And I'm scared of your calling the CBI names and the ED names. So let me get you facts straight. CBI came into being in 1963. And in 1967 itself, for the first time, CBI was misused. Why was that done? Because the Swatantra Party, and I was very much in the CBI, a very young officer, the Swatantra Party was rising. And Indira Gandhi had to fix the Swatantra Party, and there were raids on the Birlas. And those raids were quashed by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court acted mercilessly against the CBI. But it was done. And let me tell you, we had an opposition which was very good. We had Jyotirmay Basu, we had Gurudas Dasgupta, we had H.V. Kamath, Hiren Mukherjee, who lashed out against the government and brought out the corruption in the government. This opposition had VAPAM. This opposition has the Karnataka land deals. What is it doing all this? Here the opposition is a non-entity. Opposition cannot take this BJP by the scruff of its neck and point out the illegal doings which the CBI they allege are doing.
No, but the opposition, with due regard, Mr. Shantanu Sen, the opposition does not have the ED and the CBI as weapons. How does the opposition expose the government in the absence of...
CBI has to act on the orders of the government. CBI is doing investigations and no one can dare say that CBI is doing investigation wrongly.
No, but why are they not using these investigations in BJP ruled states?
We discussed the Rajput case. Remember, we both agreed it was a witch hunt. And did the CBI prosecute anybody? Did the CBI arrest anybody? So the CBI is doing investigations as given by competent authorities. It is true. The opposition would like CBI to investigate certain cases. But what are they doing? Jyotirmay Basu got CBI to investigate. Gurudas Dasgupta got CBI to investigate. VP Singh got the Beaufort scandal in. Hawala party was investigated. The opposition was very strong and got the corruption in the government got going. But now the opposition cannot do its homework and it is blaming the CBI for not investigating those who they think should investigate. CBI as a government organization has no choice. When the competent authority gives it a complaint, CBI will investigate. And CBI will do the investigation honestly. In the Rajput case, did the CBI prosecute Riya Chakrabarti? We both agreed it was a witch hunt. To date, neither CBI nor the ED has got after anybody. So don't blame the CBI.
Okay.
CBI plans its searches.
Sir, I must
location search.
Okay, you're saying don't blame the CBI. But remember, the Supreme Court called the same CBI a cage parrot during the years of the Congress. The Supreme Court no less called it that. And the fact is, over the years...
I don't agree with the Supreme Court.
No,
CBI is an eagle.
Okay, you don't agree with the Supreme Court.
CBI is an eagle.
Okay, CBI is an eagle.
May say anything.
CBI is an eagle, but an eagle which seems to only swoop down. Mr. Shantanu Sen, it's an eagle that seems to only swoop down at the moment on opposition ruled states. The CBI is an eagle that only seems to swoop down on opposition ruled states.
Yes, because it is directed to do so. It is directed to do so.
That's the point.
And CBI as a government organization has to act on the orders of the government. Why can't the opposition act like Jyotirmay Basu did and Gurudas Dasgupta did? Why is the opposition silent? Why cannot get CBI to investigate these cases?
Let Rohan Gupta answer.
The VAPAM case was there. What did the opposition do?
Shantanu Sen, I have to Rohan Gupta. According to Shantanu Sen, if you have a strong opposition, they can expose the government and thereby virtually force the CBI into investigations. He's giving the example even in the UPA years. Remember how the opposition used the agencies in a way to target those who were in the government at the time, whether it was Mr. Kalmadi in the CWG issue, whether it was Mr. A. Raja in the 2G issue. Why can't you expose specific irregularities in the government?
Please.
Rajdeep, if you see last few days or few months, we have been exposing this government. But the issue here is, Rajdeep, you know, that any government who is in power, there is at least some, sensitivity towards public opinion or something which is true, which is not. You don't see this in this government. You have done at least 8 to 10 shows. Even I have. And this is the government, and every new day, like Maharashtra Mission Kamalam is over. Now they are moving on to Bihar. Now they are moving on to Jharkhand. So there is limit to everything, Rajdeep. And opposition parties, they are fighting tooth and nail. Whether it was...
Yes, but you're fighting tooth and nail for your survival. My point is, Nele pe dela. Why have you not come out? Look, opposition parties, and I include the media in the opposition, their job is to expose corruption in those in power. And maybe over the last 7 or 8 years, while there's been a lot of smoke, we haven't been able to nail the culprits in many of the BJP ruled states in the manner in which the CBI and ED are being used to nail the government. Yes, Jasmine Shah, what do you want to say?
Rajdeep, I'll give you a prime example of a scam being
1 minute, you'll be last. I'll get you last.
You know, when the liquor scam, the talk of the liquor scam started in Delhi, we asked a very simple question. What is happening in Gujarat? There's supposed to be prohibition. Every year, hundreds of people are dying in spurious liquor. Experts, not Aam Aadmi Party, experts have pegged the entire trade of illegal liquor in Gujarat at 10,000 crores per annum. We knew, Rajdeep, last year, thousands of crores worth drugs were caught in Gujarat. Have you ever heard CBI or ED raiding? So it is fine to say that opposition can raise issues. That is our duty. But we don't have investigative paraphernalia of the state that the state has. But such blatant ignorance of the fact that there is khuleam liquor mafia and drug mafia operating in a state like
let Sanju Verma, who otherwise if she gets any more impatient will pounce on me. Sanju Verma, how about sending the NCB to look at what's happening in Gujarat in terms of drug trade? Why not send the CBI and the ED to find out what's happening with the beneficiaries of the large trade in liquor? Why not? Why is it? End of the day, you accuse the Congress of turning the CBI into a cage parrot.
Can BJP deny that spurious liquor is
okay,
not being
Jasmine Shah, let her respond now. Go ahead,
May I
Sanju.
please respond? I did not heckle anybody. Rajdeep, with no offense to you, I'm surprised that instead of saying that Modi government has done a great job in nailing corrupt people like Anil Deshmukh, Nawab Malik has filed a charge sheet against Chara Ghotala Prem Lalu Yadav, Rabri Yadav, Tejasvi Yadav, is on the heels of Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, accused number 1 and 2 in the National Heritage scam. You are sitting here and questioning the bona fides of CBI, of the Enforcement Directorate, and of the Income Tax. India must be the only democracy where if you take action against the corrupt, so-called neutral journalists, rather than giving a pat on the back to the ruling regime, actually question the bona fides of the probe agencies. Not once, Rajdeep, have you party panelists. Did Manish Sisodia flout the Delhi Excise Act of 2009? Did Manish Sisodia flout the Delhi Excise Rules of 2010? Did Manish Sisodia deliberately cause 144 crore loss to the exchequer? Did Manish Sisodia give back 30 crores of earnest money to his group of friends, whereas that money should have gone to the Delhi
There
Treasury?
is a similar report in Haryana. There is reportedly a similar report in Haryana, which is BJP ruled state, but there I don't see the CBI and ED moving. That's my job. I want all of you. I will be very happy if every politician exposes the other politician. Put all the dirt out. Get all the dirt out.
What is happening in Gujarat? Hundreds of people dying because of spurious liquor. So-called state.
Okay. Time out. Okay, time out. We will get into endless recrimination and point scoring on this. The fact is, these are the country's premier agencies. We expect them to act fairly. We expect them to act in a manner that ensures that everyone who is involved in corruption is brought to book. You cannot be selective when it comes to corruption. That's where the question of bona fides comes in. That's why the neutral journalists that Sanju Verma spoke about ask questions to both sides, Sanju Verma. You're too used to having journalists who ask questions to one side. I refuse to do that. I refuse to be part of that media. I will continue to ask questions to both because the time has come that every party is held accountable, particularly those in power. So let me leave it at that. Let me not say more. You cannot intimidate me by saying that I will not ask questions, that I will only ask questions to one side. We will ask questions to both sides. Now, speaking of both sides, we've seen today both sides in Maharashtra, my home state, engaging in the kind of sloganeering and scuffles that perhaps don't do any good to the reputation of the state. Today, in the Maharashtra Vidhan Sabha, the groups owing allegiance to Eknath Shinde, the Chief Minister, and those belonging to the opposition and Uddhav Thackeray virtually indulged in fisticuffs outside the Maharashtra Assembly, alleging corruption charges against each other. As I keep saying, Hammam mein kabhi sab nange hote hain. Take a look.
The new government clashing with the old. Shinde camp and BJP netas against Uddhav faction. Ugly scenes at the Maharashtra Assembly, physical fights breaking out. As the opposition raised slogans, Shinde Sena backers retaliated in full force on the steps of the Maharashtra legislature. A carrot dharna by the NCP added to the chaos. The Uddhav Sena has upped the ante against Shinde after Aditya Thackeray's rallies have been drawing huge crowds.
That is the love of people. Initially, when the 40 people actually, did the treacherous act, I was wondering that what happened, what wrong did we do? Today I see that the people are with us, the 40 gaddars have gone away, but the people are standing strongly with us, their blessings are with us.
The battle at the assembly has intensified, even as the fight for Sena ownership goes on in the Supreme Court and before the Election Commission. After losing his government and most of his MLAs, Uddhav is now taking his fight to the people. Bureau Report, India Today.
And the word being used most frequently in Mumbai at the moment is khoka. How many khokas, how many cash loads of money, crores of money are changing hands from one side to the other? This is the state of Maharashtra. Let's turn from there to our continuing focus on the Bilkis Bano case. The woman who was gang raped, her daughter, 3.5-year-old daughter, was killed, remember, during the 2002 Gujarat riots. Well, today the Supreme Court says that it is yet to list a date to hear the plea against the release of Bilkis Bano's gang-raped accused, who were released ironically on the 15th of August. But more and more voices are slowly but surely coming out in support of Bilkis. On the ground, though, in her village of Radhikpur in Godhra district, Bilkis Bano's village is seeing an exodus of many Muslim families after the convicts were released. Our reporters have found streets in the village are deserted, the houses are locked.
એક જધન્ય અપરાધ કરનાર આરોપીઓ જે બલાત્કારીઓ એમને છોડી મૂકવામાં આવ્યા અને આજે એ લોકો રંધીકપુરમાં બિંદાસ ખુલ્લેઆમ ફરી રહ્યા છે અને એક ડરનો માહોલ પેદા કરી દીધો અને રંધીકપુર ગામમાંથી કેટલાય મુસ્લિમ પરિવારો ગામ છોડીને જતા રહ્યા અને ખુલ્લામાં એ લોકો આજે ફરી રહ્યા છે એ અપરાધીઓને એ બલાત્કારીઓને કે જેમણે એક જધન્ય અપરાધ કર્યો એવા અપરાધીઓને ફરી જેલમાં પૂરે એવી અમે અપેક્ષા રાખીએ છીએ.
And as we try and get you more and more voices on this story, joining me now is someone who has been intimately connected with this case. I'm joined by Justice U. Salvi. He was the trial court judge who convicted Bilkis's gang rapists in 2009 in Mumbai. Appreciate your joining us, Justice Salvi. I want to understand, when you first heard that the very murderers, rapists that you convicted in 2009 have now been set free by the Gujarat government's review committee, what was your first reaction or response when you heard of this news?
Good evening. See, I as a judge act as a common man. Therefore, and plus I have certain knowledge about the judicial process. So I would say, when the things had gone through the entire judicial process, before the trial court, before me, the evidence was thoroughly scanned, the opportunity was given to the accused to create a reasonable doubt, and despite that they were held guilty, and 2 more opportunities the accused could get. After getting the opportunities, they utilized those opportunities, and ultimately they were held guilty by the highest court of this land. Having so happened, one must give value to that conviction. So therefore, and particularly, this was a case of a gang rape, wherein it is the mob which is, I would say, with a diseased mind, the people came together and they attacked, and one woman was gang raped and the child was killed, and 7 more persons were also killed. So in such crime, one should be very careful in granting remission. One should consider all the aspects of it, and particularly more, one should consider the object of the punishment, why there had been a punishment. See, punishment formerly, the theory of penology was that it was a retribution, but now the things have gone to the stage of reformation. One should therefore consider whether there has been a true reformation in the minds of the persons who had been held guilty. Therefore, this reformation has to be understood from their reaction to the crime they committed. Whether this has been done or not, I am doubtful. What is that good behavior, I also do not know. Therefore, to say that what was my first reaction, it will be too hasty at this time, but really, I would say, I feel from the conduct of the accused that they accepted the felicitation. They should not have. Therefore, they have no remorse about this. Therefore, it's all shocking.
They have no remorse, therefore it is all shocking, is what Justice Salvi says. Now, then it brings me to the question, and I will now turn to my other guest who's joining me at this moment. The BJP leader, Khushbu Sundar, joins me. And I want to ask you that, Khushbu Sundar, you are today a member of the Bharatiya Janata Party. You are among the few who've actually, from that party, come out and expressed your anger and outrage at what happened to Bilkis Bano and indeed the manner in which her convicts have got away. Do you believe that political parties need to speak out in one voice on at least certain issues, particularly those involving justice to citizens? Or are we going to see even these issues through political prisms?
There's no politics here, Rajdeep. For me, as a woman, I will stand first and speak first as a mother for Bilkis Bano. I'm no political leader here. I do not represent any political party. But as a woman, as a mother, I think these people who have been convicted and they being released on remission is something I'm not able to accept it. My heart breaks. I'm filled with anger. And I heard Justice Salvi who said that these people who were felicitated and they've accepted the felicitation after being released, I said, shame on all of them, the people who felicitated them and those who have accepted the felicitation. I think, you know, as a woman of this country, that is what hurts me the most. And it in fact hits me really hard deep in my heart as to where are we heading? What are we doing? If these are the kind of people who have been convicted and if they're released on remission, what is the law doing in this country? What are we? Where are we?
You know, you're saying...
A woman can actually go through these kind of problems and say it's fine. It's okay that a woman is raped. It's okay that 14 members of her family were killed. It's okay that her 3-year-old child head was smashed in front of her eyes and she was brutally gang raped. I mean, this is what hits me. This is what hurts me. And this is something which I've been filled with so much of anger. And as a woman of this country, I always take pride saying that, you know, I'm somebody who takes my Indianness, who takes me being a woman of this country called India with pride on my sleeves. I wear my Indianness on my sleeves. And this is what is not acceptable to me. And here I voice my opinion. I don't know if it's against my party line. I have seen a couple of my senior leaders actually speaking against it. I've seen Mr. Fadnavis speaking against it. I've seen a couple of other leaders speaking against it. But here, as a woman, I say what has happened to Bilkis Bano is not justified and it's not acceptable by me as a woman of this progressive country called India, where we have a prime minister who speaks about Nari Shakti and who talks about Beti Bachao Andolan at every now and then. And this is where I want my party to step in and say that this is not acceptable. This is not at all acceptable is what I really want to hear from my other colleagues from the party.
Very, very strong words. You're saying your other colleagues in the party also need to speak out on the issue. You cannot speak about Nari Shakti and Beti Bachao and remain silent. But it's not just, the fact is they are silent. The fact is, I haven't heard a word from Smriti Irani. She's the Women and Child Development Minister. I haven't heard a word from any of the major voluble BJP spokespersons who come on the studio. In fact, the BJP has not been sending us guests when we discuss Bilkis Bano. The fact is, whether it's the National Commission of Women or other organization like NHRC, they haven't spoken out. So I just wonder whether while you come on this program and have very courageously said that the party needs to break its silence, the truth is it's not. Why? Is it because politicians look at vote banks first and then look at themselves as mothers, as daughters, as women?
No, Rajdeep, I don't know if this is about politics. I don't know what this is about. But we as women, if we don't collectively stand together today with a woman who has been through so much, I don't know if Bilkis Bano will ever be able to sleep peacefully ever in her life. And today, if we don't stand up for this woman, we have seen the kind of outrage we had during Nirbhaya. The entire country stood up. I don't want this to happen again, time and again. I'm a mother of two young girls. My daughter is 22 and 19. I feel as a mother, I feel as a woman. And this is something, it's not at all acceptable to me. I feel that today, if I don't stand up for Bilkis Bano, today I don't stand up for the women who have been denied justice, I think I'm going to fail as a woman. I'm going to fail as a mother. I mean, what happens politically is completely different, but I don't want to fail as a woman. I don't want to fail as a woman who's always fought for her rights. I don't want to fail in front of my children's eyes, and I'm sure that every woman of this country feels the same.
But why don't they speak out? Why don't more, ma'am? I again say I appreciate that someone is coming, even though you belong to a political party that has stayed silent. But you have been in politics now. Why don't more people come out? Whether it's in your industry, earlier industry, films, or politics, we want to see more people come out and express their anger and raise a little bit of hell. Why is that not happening?
I don't know. I don't know why. What stops them from speaking the fact? What stops them from being together with someone or show the solidarity with someone who's been through so much of pain? Probably they don't feel the pain. Probably they feel that it's okay for them to be quiet. Probably they feel that they don't want to be part of this. They don't want to be embroiled in kind of a controversy, or just that, yeah, it has nothing to do with me, so why should I speak up? I think we all need to come together in times like this and say that we as Indians, we stand together when there's injustice meted out to someone from our community, and that community is human community, humankind community. And
no, you're saying human, ma'am, you're saying human community, but there's a Gujarat election where again vote bank politics will be paid. Bilkis Bano is a Muslim, and there will be those who will say that the reason why there is so much of silence is because her identity as a Muslim in a way overshadows her identity as a woman who was gang raped and victimized and treated in this horrific manner. That's my fear.
This is not about Rajdeep, this is not about Gujarat alone. Gujarat is silent probably because they are the one who gave the remission. It has gone to the Supreme Court. It is going to be heard again by CJI Ramana. But I'm saying, what about Gujarat is not the only state. What about the people from different states? If you want me to speak like a politician, I would say that forget my party members. Okay, there's a party line. But what about these so-called opposition who have been jumping at the drop of a hat and sitting for dharna, who have been talking about it and from the rooftop screaming about injustice being meted out? Where are those opposition party leaders?
Your old party, at least, ma'am, with due regard, your old party, the Congress at least has spoken out on it. The Aam Aadmi Party has been silent. But the fact is that we don't see that collective outrage that we saw with Nirbhaya, as you said, 10 years ago. So that makes me wonder.
Why there is no collective outrage? That is what I'm saying. Why there's no, if Bilkis Bano case is what has been hurting people, why there is no collective outrage on this? Where are the people, not my party members? Where are the people of the other party members? Where are the people who spoke up during GNU? Where are the people who spoke up every time there was a problem in this country? Where are the people when there was Shaheen Bano case? Where are the people when there was a problem with the farmers? Where are the same so-called people who were there sitting out and doing dharna? Where are the same so-called leaders from the opposition political parties? Where are the women from the other political parties who were standing up and jumping from over the barricades and fighting for it?
The party in power, with due regard, Khushbu ji, both in Gandhinagar and Delhi, is the Bharatiya Janata Party. It's the Prime Minister who at the ramparts of Red Fort spoke of Nari Shakti.
I do not accept this. No, I do not accept this. I do not accept this.
If the Prime Minister speaks out, everyone will.
No, I am saying so. If it's going to be everybody's will, then we should not involve politics at all.
No, I'm saying the Prime Minister takes the lead, everyone will speak out. Once the Prime Minister speaks out, everyone will.
I come here. At the onset, I said I feel as a woman, as a mother. I do not represent my political party. I come as a woman, as a woman of this country.
Right.
I speak as a woman of this country. I speak as a mother of 2 young girls. I speak as a woman. And this, it's not about religion. It's not about anything else. I'm saying, where are this? And what is really, really hurting me more is when I see women jumping all over the place, talking about safety of women, talking about this happened and that happened. Where are the same so-called women? Where are the women? There's no woman. I don't see an outrage. Go out on the streets. They've been talking about somebody is eating one kacha bangan in the parliament. Ask her to come out on the street and speak, scream her heads out. Ask Mahua Moitra to come out. She's filed a case, but come out on the street.
Well, she's filed a case. I come back to it. At least Mahua Moitra has filed a petition. I come back to it, and I'll ask you this one last time.
I am saying, let women come together in protest. Let women come together. It's not about against a political party. It's about giving justice to a woman.
Well, I hope many more women like you who are influential, who are women who people will admire in many ways, will speak out like you have. And as I said, I respect you today for speaking out, which is in a sense not your party line, where many have become silent.
It hurts, Rajdeep. It hurts. As a woman, it hurts me so much. It hurts me so much. Why? Why these women are keeping quiet? Is Bilkis Bano not a mother? Is she not a woman? So what if she happens to be from a Muslim community? So what if she happens to be from Gujarat? So what if she happens to be someone who's been wronged by the society? We as women, we have to stand together with her at this moment. And this is what hurts me the most.
Ma'am, as I said, I share your tears. I share your feelings today. I almost had an emotional breakdown last night when I was listening to her story yet again. It brought back a lot of memories. But I thank you today for coming and speaking out. As I said, in politics, it's not always easy to speak out the way you have, but we need to take some issues beyond politics. The justice for Bilkis Bano case is beyond that. And I do hope that people out there recognize why there needs to be a relook at her case. But I thank you so much, Khushbu Sundar, for joining me here on the news today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's take a break. On the other side is our Only in India story, and it comes today from Shamli in UP. More on the other side. You're watching the news today. News without the noise.
Kinmen Island. This is Taiwan's most threatened outpost, just 10 kilometers away from mainland China. If China made the Great Wall, Taiwan made a series of such tunnels right from 1949 onwards. Join me, Gaurav Sawant, as I report live and exclusive from Ground Zero, Taiwan, only on India Today.
battery swapping was a real game changer and is a real game changer as we go into other markets, large-scale markets.
Welcome back. You're with the news today. Now, in our final story, sometimes we do good news stories, sometimes we do only in India stories, because this is a country like no other. So let me tell you and leave you tonight with a classic only in India story. A lineman in Uttar Pradesh's Shamli who was fined by the police has taken his revenge. And how? He simply cut off the power supply to the police station. This happens only in India. Thanks for watching. Stay well, stay safe. Good night. Jai Hind. Shubhratri. Namaskar.
चेक इन अभियान चल रहा था, उसमें पकड़ लिया कि हेलमेट नहीं था मेरे पास। जी मैं लाइनमैन हूँ और लाइन चेक कर रहा, इसलिए नहीं पहनना। सर 6000 रुपये का चालान काटा। नंबर प्लेट भी थी मेरे पे सर, मैं लगवाने के लिए आ रहा था। वो भी यहाँ बिजली घर पे राजेश अंकल जी की दुकान है, उनके यहाँ लगवाने के लिए आ रहा था।
Now Mehtab seems to believe in the old dictum, an eye for an eye. The lineman promptly disconnected the electricity supply to Thana Bhavan police station in Shamli, rendering the police literally powerless. He had a valid reason to do that. The police station hasn't paid electricity bills to the tune of 56,000 rupees. The lineman vengeance left the police naturally groping in the dark.
टेक्निकल चीज होती है, ये कब आती है कब जाती है, इसके लिए एक पर्टिकुलर डिपार्टमेंट है, और डिपार्टमेंट के लोग जब भी कोई रिपेयरिंग का काम या बाकी काम करते हैं तो खंभे पे चढ़ेंगे ही। ढेर सारी जो व्यवस्थाएं की जाती है बिना खंभे पे चढ़े हुए या इस तरीके की कोई बात नहीं।
Mehtab's revenge served cold, however, did not last long.
वर्तमान समय में प्रकाश की व्यवस्था की बात है, थाना भवन से मेरे से संज्ञान में आया है, बिजली आज आ रही है वहाँ, और किसी तरीके की समस्या बताई नहीं।
ब्यूरो रिपोर्ट, इंडिया टुडे।
The internet is bombarded with the visuals of Shah Rukh Khan and Deepika Padukone as the two were spotted in Chennai. And joining them, the filmmaker of SRK's upcoming film Jawan, Atlee, which led to the speculations about Deepika making a cameo in the action drama. In one of the clips surfacing online, the trio can be seen sharing laughs and conversations. For the unversed, Jawan, which marks the first collaboration between Shah Rukh Khan and the filmmaker Atlee, also stars Nayanthara,